Hi everyone, Mary Jervich here, and today I want to share a quick message with you about communication and self-awareness. So I think a lot of times self-awareness gets a bad rap. People don't really understand that there's a need to be self-aware, and oftentimes we're hurting people and we're misjudging people because we're just lacking sometimes awareness ourselves. And I know that I've been guilty of this. So this past year, starting in March, I kind of went on a little bit of a self-awareness journey, and I kind of stumbled upon it on accident, but it's been an incredible journey and I've learned a lot about myself. But more than learning about myself, I've been able to learn about others, and I've been able to learn about how I can connect with others and how I think, how I process information, how I'm kind of wired, and why it makes me act the way I do. Now, this has all been very interesting to me because I haven't changed who I am, but because I'm aware of who I am, I'm able to change how I react to others and how I interpret others' actions. And that goes a long way. So the first thing I did was I took a DISC assessment. So DISC is a tool that identifies 4 different personality types. Those are your Ds, which are your dominant personality types, your Is, which are your influence personality types, your S's, which are your steady personality types, and your C's. And that's kind of like your control type of a group. And they're really kind of more of the critical type of a group. And they like things like stats and accuracy and things like that. Now, all the different types, they definitely all have benefits, and we also have blind spots with every type. So just because you're a D or an I or an S or a C, it doesn't make you a bad personality. There isn't a bad personality. It's just how self-aware you are and how you apply that in your everyday life. So for instance, I found out that I'm a D. That's the dominant, direct, controlling, and results-driven type of personality. Outward focused and very task-oriented. So I make up I'm only part of 3% of the population. And having awareness of that really helped to change my life because it allowed me to understand that although people weren't acting like me, they weren't incompetent. Now, I know that might sound really harsh to say, but when I explain a little bit further, you're going to understand possibly why my wiring is set to think this way. And so I hold myself to really high standards, and I hold others to those high standards as well. And being this D personality can have its flaws. But now that I'm aware that others thrive on people, right? So if you're that I personality, you really thrive on having fun. You thrive on connection. You thrive on relationships, and you're really outgoing and you're very people driven. And knowing this is great because there's different communication styles that fit in different areas, especially at work. So being able to respect the I's goes a long way. Now the S's, those steady personalities, the thing to remember here is as a D, I really can make quick decisions. I'm open to change, and I can change on a whim. Well, if you're an S personality, you may not be that easygoing with the changes. You might like a little bit more security. You might like things to be a little bit more steady. And by knowing this, it's really better for us to work together when I'm not trying to make too many changes. So when I communicate with you, I can communicate with you in a way that doesn't cause your world to flip upside down. Now, the next type you have in the last type is the C. And that is kind of the compliant one. And that's really, you really like the facts, and you really like the details to things, and you like things to be correct, and you like things to be right. And it's great to know this too, because to connect with you, you're also very task focused. You're more introverted typically, and really you want to know the facts. So if somebody's presenting a case to you, you want to know what the stats are on that. You want to know what the exact figures are. And there's a lot of people out there that kind of steer away from the facts and the figures. So having you on our team would be remarkable. So if you haven't taken the DISC assessment before, I certainly encourage you to do that. It can open up your world. I actually became a certified consultant because I found so much value in taking the test that I wanted to be able to share it with others. So you should definitely take it. And like I said, not just to find out what your personality is, but to find out what others' personalities are and how you can relate better to those personalities. Because self-awareness is all about changing who we are and adapting to our surroundings to create better connections. Now, the next thing that I did for self-awareness is I read this book called Essentialism. And it was pretty remarkable because what I realized is that I'm a non-essentialist. So basically, an essentialist is a person that they can stay focused on one thing and they don't need a lot of things in their life, and they can kind of do more with less. And because they have fewer things, they have fewer distractions. Because they focus on fewer projects, they can actually focus on those projects more deeply. So when I learned about essentialism, I actually started to change my schedule at work so I could be more effective and I could focus more. This also helped me in communication because I knew that I might be spinning out a little bit because I like to talk about ideas and I like to get things moving. So for others, I may be interrupting their work when they're trying to focus. And then lastly, the last thing I did is I read a book called The Road Back to You, which is about the Enneagram. And in this book, big gulp, I learned that I'm a number 1, which is a perfectionist. And I'm a number 1 with a 2 wing. And so basically that's like an outgoing perfectionist, which is, when I first saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is scary, this is bad. But the way that it works, and it's got Catholic roots to it, and I definitely recommend that you read the book. I'll put a link below. But it helps you to, it asks you these questions. And so basically at the beginning of each chapter, it asks you about 20 questions. And in each of those questions, you just kind of have to think, do I have this type of self-talk? And when I was hearing the questions being asked, I immediately identified that that's who I was. I was a perfectionist. Everything that it said, I did. Every one of them. From reorganizing the dishwasher, because nobody can do that good enough, to having to fix projects, because I think I could possibly do it better, to making sure that my kids eat perfectly squared meals, which ask my kids, they'll tell you I'm a stickler for having a balanced meal, to planning Pinterest parties because I want my parties to be perfect for my guest, to thinking that I can conquer the world and set goals for everything and do it all perfectly, absolutely me, to not being able to start a task unless I'm absolutely going to finish it. But not only am I going to finish it, but I'm going to finish it with a high amount of integrity and accuracy. Now, the thing that comes with perfectionism is also procrastination. And so when we're in the fear mode and we don't think we can do things right, it causes us to kind of stall. And sometimes we don't take action. Now, I read this great book by Dan Sullivan. It's a quick read. It's called The 80% Approach. And I read that about 7 years ago now. And that book really changed my life. I definitely connected with that book. And basically it says that you just want to start a task and get it just 80% of the way. Don't expect yourself to get it perfect, because no matter what, whenever we do a task, it's not going to be perfect. Whether we do it today, tomorrow, in a month, it's still not going to be perfect if we're going to have to redo it. So it says just take action. Just take action and let 80% be good enough. Otherwise, we're likely not to start at all. So if you maybe you're relating to some of the things that I'm saying, then maybe you're a perfectionist like me. And if you are, welcome to the 1%. But having an awareness of this has been really freeing. Every year I throw a fall party at my house for my friends and family and things. And I like all the decorations to look perfect in my house. I like my house to be perfectly spotless. And then I like to plan all the games, and I plan the crafts, and I plan the food. And like all of that like cute little food you see on Pinterest, like the monsters with the eyeballs and the little ghosts that are made of cookies, and like every cute little Halloween thing, every year I make all of those things. And this year I didn't do that. I've really been focusing on building my business, and I realized like everything, I can't do everything. And what's important to me is developing myself right now. And none of my friends are expecting me to be perfect. I'm the only person that's expecting me to have everything perfect. So I did appetizers instead, and they were delicious, and everybody had a great time. And we didn't have any cute Halloween food this year because I decided that the only reason I probably was having all of this cute food, although I do like crafts and although I do enjoy it, I was probably just putting too much pressure on myself in the past to make it completely perfect. And I don't need to do that, because that's not really what's important, and that's not what's important to my friends. It's our friendship and our fellowship and those types of things. So by having a self-awareness of this, it helps me to be able to connect. And in the book, I love that I get to learn about the 8 other personality types, because some of my coworkers have read this and I know their personality types now. And so it helps me to understand how they process information and how they see the world. And so the more self-aware you have, the more self-awareness you have, the better able you are to communicate with others effectively, because you're truly going to understand who they are, what they're thinking, and what you can do to make an impact on them. Because truth be told, we don't all communicate the same. All right, I hope this video was helpful for you. Be sure to check out those books and subscribe to the link below. Talk to you later.